Welcome in to the Fun Astrology Podcast. Thomas Miller coming back on Wednesday, June 10th. Took the day off yesterday because it was sawing logs quiet in the sky compared to what we've been through. So actually pretty quiet today too. We have the moon in Aquarius on its last Aquarian legs today. And it will be going void of course at 5:30 this morning. So that is where the moon has no other aspects before it changes signs into Pisces, which doesn't happen until Thursday, tomorrow morning at 5:31 a.m. So we've got almost a 24-hour and 1 minute void of course coming up here. Now, people who follow void of course basically say that that's a time when there is no other planetary activation. It's like a lull. It's if you were out sailing, you're not moving. Your sails are up, and there's not a breath of wind to propel you. If you don't have a little motor with some gas, then you are going to be sitting there until the wind blows again, which is, of course, when it changes signs. Now, I've been following something over the last week that I thought I would elaborate on a little bit today. I came across a guy who is a financial astrologer and also a floor trader at the Chicago Board of Exchange, where all the futures are traded. That's, the floor where they do all the hand signals and everything. Well, he was a market maker there for like 35 years. He developed an interesting trading protocol based on the moon's activity. And I've been following it for a week. Certainly is interesting. I don't know how sold I am on it yet, but it's interesting to follow. Now, like yesterday, where we've just had this lull in the energy, and it really didn't correlate very well yesterday. Friday, eclipse day. Now, I'm not trading it. I'm just observing it. But boy, if you were trading contracts based on this on Friday, you would have taken a wheelbarrow to the bank. I mean, it was like it was just falling in your lap. So it will be interesting to watch this long day of void of course today and see if the correlations are there or not there. That will be kind of interesting. But it just is one more confirmation in my book of how astrology, as above, so below. It even affects the way that little tiny moves in stock prices through the day based on exact periods of time that are influenced by our moon and by the planets. Wow. Now, we have two aspects coming early tomorrow morning, so let's go ahead and take care of those today. So the agenda for tomorrow is basically the moon moves into Pisces at 5:31 a.m. Eastern time. Now, all the times I give here are Eastern. Then the sun squares Neptune at 5:37 a.m., and then Venus is sextile Chiron at 6:47 a.m. Chiron being in Aries and Venus being in Gemini. And, of course, the sun is in Gemini, which will square back to Pisces, Neptune. And also in Pisces, Mars is closing in for Saturday's big conjunction with Neptune. That happens Saturday morning at 10:13 a.m., Right now, today, they are 2 degrees apart. Mars is at 18 degrees, Neptune is at 20 degrees in Pisces. So Mars will just continue to close that gap. And then Friday is another super quiet day. The moon will be in Pisces. And actually, through the day on Friday, the moon will be closing its own gap from about 14 degrees in the morning, Pisces, to where it will conjunct the moon and Neptune, but it doesn't happen until Friday evening. Broadly, like between 9 and 10 o'clock is when the moon will conjunct Mars and then Neptune before it moves on to stage on out and ingress into Pisces. But that will be the big event on Friday, is the moon closing in on Mars, which is closing in or degree-based conjunction with Neptune at that point during the day on Friday. Boy, that could be some shake, rattle, and rolling for my trader buddy. Batten down the hatches for Friday. That could get interesting. Okay, so let's kind of put a bow around this, especially for today and tomorrow. So what do we do with this? Well, for one, let's focus on the energy in Pisces. Mars is getting ready to conjunct Neptune. So what comes to mind with that is either A, amplified spirituality and amplified perception and intuition. So between now and that conjunction on Saturday morning at 10:14, 10:13 on Saturday morning is a great time to try to tune in, dial in, and do those kinds of things that put you in that hyper-intuitive mode. Whatever you do to get really intuitive, these would be 3 good days, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, to really work on that and be in that zone, because we're within 3 degrees. We're just going to be closing the gap. So intuition, for those who are looking for it, can bring it in. What about the shadow side? Well, it could amplify confusion on the other side. That's one of the great paradoxes of Neptune and Pisces, is you have this confusion modality and you also have this intuition modality. The chart is so full of paradoxes, and Pisces Neptune has this one as one of the major ones. So you can either lean to the intuitive side and amplify that, or the fog, the detachment, could be amplified as well. I've always said, how do you get through the fog? Intuitively. When the fog gets thick, if you're a Piscean or you have Pisces or Neptune in your chart predominantly, I have the latter. I have Neptune very prominent in my chart and Pisces in a prominent position. So I've really spent a lot of time working this one through. When you get into the confusion, turn to intuition. So the awareness is that the confusion could be there, amplified. But over here, if you just quiet down, there's the intuition, amplified. Now, the other thing that I would be remiss if I didn't mention is Neptune and Pisces also have a connection to addictions. You may have seen in some of the following, if you follow Astro Twitter or some of the more current blogs, that some people have said, like, really be careful with substances during this weekend. And I say this gingerly and I hope appropriately. But about 2 years ago, I decided that I was going to remove alcohol from my life. One of the big influences of that was my buddy Hemet, my Kundalini buddy, and just the conversations that we had. And the other was the amplified intuition. The other factor was my learning about that Piscean, but particularly because I have Neptune on my sun, I just looked at that and I thought, you know what? That's a road that goes into a horizon that I can't see into, and I don't want to know where it goes. So based on my chart, I just was like, I've got a very strong Neptune on my sun, Mars right there with it as well. Boy, am I going to be feeling... I might be in bed on Friday, you guys. I might be in bed with the covers pulled over my head. That's my stellium, Mars, Neptune, and the sun, all on the same degree. That, or I better be trading with live money with my buddy's friend. I might just retire on Friday. Go big or go home. Double up, triple up. But no, the addiction thing is a very real deal. So I'm just saying, be careful. And why don't I just throw this down? Why don't you try for the next 5 days? Give it up. Maybe there are some things in your life that change your state. Just set them aside for 5 days. 3 of the days will be the waxing period. Then you'll have Saturday and Sunday. Then go back about your business. Or you might choose that you might want to set it aside for a while and see how that works. But a lot of you have asked how to bring these daily podcasts into your own chart. Look at where Neptune and Pisces are and realize that Mars is sitting there too, so that element is could be amplified, at least in that particular area of your chart. So take a look at Mars, take a look at Neptune, take a look at Pisces. Realize that they are now together. All right, we have covered this, I think, like a blanket. I will maybe give you a trading report tomorrow, and I will see you tomorrow as we talk about the moon in Pisces, floating its little self over in a conjunction of Mars and then a conjunction of Neptune. Friday will be a good day. That'll be interesting. I might just peek out from under the covers enough to do a podcast and then dive right back under the bed. Have a good one. See you tomorrow.